On the morning of October 15th, 2023, my daughter-in-law looked me straight in the eye across my grandmother's antique vanity and said, "Constance, it's time you found your own place, somewhere more appropriate for someone your age." I'm Constance Miller. I'm 67 years old, and I want to tell you my story. If you're listening from somewhere far away, drop your city in the comments so I can see how far this has traveled. And please, stay with me until the end, because what happened next changed everything. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I simply said, "Okay," and walked downstairs to make coffee like it was any other Tuesday morning. 3 months later, I was standing on a terrace in Monaco, France, watching the sunrise paint the Mediterranean Sea in shades of gold and pink, sipping champagne that cost more than Ashley's monthly car payment. My phone was ringing. Brandon, my son, calling for the 14th time that week. I let it go to voicemail. Again. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where it all began. My name is Constance Elizabeth Miller, though my late husband Raymond used to call me Connie when he was sober, and nothing at all when he wasn't. I spent 33 years teaching second grade at Jefferson Elementary School in Northeast Portland, Oregon. I taught children how to read, how to tie their shoes, and how to be kind to one another. 2,476 students passed through my classroom over those 3 decades. I remember most of their names. I mention this because Ashley, my daughter-in-law, once told her Instagram followers that I'd never really worked. She said this while sitting in my living room, in the house I'd maintained for 35 years, eating collard greens I'd spent 3 hours cooking from my grandmother's recipe. But let me start at the beginning, when things were still good. Or at least when I still believed they were. Raymond Miller died on March 3rd, 2020, 4 years and 7 months before that October morning. Pancreatic cancer stage 4, diagnosed too late. We had 4 months from diagnosis to funeral. 4 months to say everything we'd left unsaid for 38 years of marriage. Raymond wasn't a bad man. He was a broken man who tried to drown his demons in whiskey and beer and nearly drowned our family in the process. He worked construction, Miller & Sons contracting, though the & Sons part never materialized because Brandon, our only child, chose business school over hammers and nails. Raymond drank for 23 years of our marriage. He got sober in year 24, stayed sober for 14 years, and died in year 38. Those last 14 years were good. Raymond went to AA meetings every Tuesday and Thursday. He rebuilt relationships he'd destroyed. He saved money instead of spending it at Murphy's Bar. He became the husband I'd married, the father Brandon deserved. And when the cancer came, he faced it with the same determination he'd used to beat the bottle. "Connie," he said 3 days before he died, his hand trembling in mine. "I was a fool for 23 years, but I made sure you'd never struggle again. Everything's in the safe. Combination is our wedding date. Promise me you'll take care of yourself first for once in your life." I promised. I didn't know what he meant about the safe. We'd never had much money, even in the sober years. Medical bills from his treatment had eaten through what little savings we had. Or so I thought. Our house at 847 Maple Street is a 1920s craftsman bungalow with 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a wraparound porch that Raymond restored himself during his sober years. We bought it in 1988 for $67,000. By 2020, the neighborhood had changed. Coffee shops replaced corner stores. Young professionals replaced retirees. Property values exploded. Brandon came home for the funeral. He was 33 then, working in sales for a pharmaceutical company, driving a BMW he couldn't quite afford, dating a woman named Ashley Bennett who posted everything she ate on something called Instagram. "Mom," he said a week after we buried Raymond, "we need to talk about the house." We were sitting at my kitchen table, solid oak, refinished by Raymond's hands, drinking coffee from mugs Brandon had made in 3rd grade art class. His said "World's Best Son" in crooked letters. Mine said "I love Mom." "What about it?" I asked. "The property taxes are going to be brutal. Dad's gone, you're retired, living on a fixed income, and there's still $180,000 left on the mortgage." This was news to me. Raymond had always handled the finances. I taught children and kept our home. That was our arrangement. Brandon pulled out papers. "I've been talking to a lawyer. If we transfer the house to my name now, we can avoid estate taxes later. You can stay here as long as you want, obviously, but this way when the time comes it'll be easier. Cleaner. No probate. No hassle. I was numb with grief. My husband of 38 years had been in the ground for 9 days. Brandon was my only child, my baby boy, the one I'd protected from his father's worst years. I trusted him completely. "Okay," I said, and signed the papers he'd brought. I didn't read them carefully. I should have. For the first year after Raymond died, Brandon visited every Sunday. We'd eat dinner, fried chicken or pot roast or gumbo, and he'd tell me about his life, his job, his girlfriend Ashley. She was 27 then, fresh from somewhere in California, working as a lifestyle influencer, which apparently meant taking pictures of herself and getting paid for it. Year 2, the visits became every other week, then monthly, then only on holidays. In March 2022, 2 years after Raymond's death, Brandon called. "Mom, I have a favor to ask." "Anything, baby." "Ashley and I are looking to buy a house. Something perfect, you know? Our forever home. But the market's crazy right now, and we need to save up for a down payment. Would it be okay if we stayed with you for a while? Just temporarily. 6 months, tops. We'd help with bills, obviously." I lived alone in a 4-bedroom house. The silence had become so loud I sometimes left the TV on just to hear human voices. "Of course," I said. "Stay as long as you need." They moved in on March 15th, 2022, a Tuesday, exactly 2 years and 12 days after Raymond's death. Brandon carried in 2 suitcases. Ashley brought 17 boxes labeled things like skincare and content creation equipment and athleisure collection. "This is temporary," Ashley said, surveying my living room with an expression I couldn't quite read. "We'll be out of your hair in no time." That was 22 months ago. The changes started small. First, Ashley needed natural light for content creation, so my sewing room became her studio. My grandmother's Singer sewing machine, the one I'd learned on as a girl, went to the basement. Then she needed a dedicated filming space, so the guest bedroom became her set. The bed Raymond and I had bought for visitors went to Goodwill. My son and daughter-in-law were living rent-free in my house, but I was the one being displaced. "Constance," Ashley said one morning. She never called me Mom, always Constance. "Would you mind eating breakfast a little earlier? I do my morning meditation in the kitchen at 7, and it's really important for my wellness routine." I'd been eating breakfast at 7 o'clock for 47 years. "Of course, dear," I said, and started eating at 6:30. Brandon said nothing. My son, who used to tell me I was his best friend in the whole world, said nothing while his wife rearranged my life around her Instagram schedule. Money was always tight for them, apparently. Brandon's pharmaceutical sales weren't going well, something about transitioning markets and restructuring. Ashley's influencer income was building, which meant unpredictable. Some months she made $3,000, some months $300. "Just until we get on our feet," Brandon said. "We're saving every penny for our down payment." They contributed exactly $400 a month for groceries. The mortgage was $2,800. Utilities averaged $450. Property taxes were $625 monthly. Insurance was $180. I was covering $3,655 of the $4,055 monthly expenses. But they were family. Family helps family. That's what I believed. Ashley was 32 years old, 5'9", blonde hair that cost $300 every 6 weeks to maintain, and a face that looked like it had been assembled by a committee dedicated to conventional beauty standards. She wore Lululemon leggings that cost $128 a pair and carried a Celine handbag that retailed for $2,400. I knew this because she told her followers about every purchase. She was also allergic to my cooking. Not medically allergic, culturally allergic. I'd made collard greens with ham hocks, cornbread with real buttermilk, mac and cheese that used 4 types of cheese and half a stick of butter. Food that sustained my family through poverty and joy, through Raymond's drinking years and his sober years, through Brandon's childhood and my mother's last days. Ashley ate sweet green salads delivered through an app. She drank something called celery juice that cost $9 a bottle. She posted pictures of AK bowls and captioned them, "Fueling my body temple." Once I made gumbo, a recipe that took 6 hours and 3 generations to perfect. The kind that makes your house smell like home, that brings people together, that carries history in every spoonful. Ashley looked at it and said, "Oh, that's so authentic. But I'm doing a plant-based reset right now. Maybe another time?" She threw away the leftovers, 2 gallons of gumbo, in the trash. Brandon ate 3 bowls and said nothing about the waste. The living room became her content zone. My family photos came down. Brandon's baby pictures, my wedding photos, the portrait of my grandmother who raised me. In their place, a ring light, a tripod, and a white backdrop. "Visual clutter isn't good for the algorithm," Ashley explained. My grandmother's face disappeared into a box in the basement, replaced by optimal lighting conditions. Dinner time shifted to accommodate her posting schedule. Game night with Dorothy from next door was canceled because Ashley needed quiet for her evening skincare routine. My Tuesday afternoon piano lessons for neighborhood kids ended because the noise interferes with her meditation practice. Piece by piece, my life was being edited out of my own home. But it was the little moments that cut deepest. Like when Ashley's mother visited and Ashley introduced me as Brandon's mom who we're staying with temporarily. Not family, not someone who'd welcomed her, just the old woman they were crashing with. Or when I overheard her on the phone, "Yeah, we're at his mom's place. I know it's not ideal, but it's free, and she's never really there anyway. She just pots around in her garden." Pots around, like I was a harmless pet occupying space. Or the Sunday I made my famous sweet potato pie, the one that had won the church bake-off 5 years running, and Ashley brought home cupcakes from a trendy vegan bakery for dessert. Brandon ate the cupcakes. My pie sat untouched. "These are amazing, babe," he said to Ashley, frosting on his lip. He didn't even taste my pie. In September, 9 months into their temporary stay, I was pulling weeds in my garden when I heard Ashley on the phone in the kitchen. The window was open. "No, seriously, it's perfect. No rent, no utilities, she cooks. Well, she tries to cook. Very dated stuff. But Brandon and I are saving like crazy. We've almost got enough for a down payment on that house in West Lynn." "Yeah, the one with the chef's kitchen." "I know. Finally, we'll have our own space, our own aesthetic. I'm thinking all white, very minimalist, none of this dark wood clutter." "When?" "Probably by summer. His mom's not going anywhere. She'll be fine. There are some really nice assisted living places around here." Assisted living. I was 67 years old. I ran 3 miles every other morning. I volunteered at the animal shelter every Tuesday and Thursday. I taught piano to 6 neighborhood children. I maintained a 1,400 square foot garden that had been featured twice in the Portland Garden Society newsletter. But in Ashley's mind, I was already warehouse ready. I stood in my garden, dirt on my knees, rage in my chest, and made myself a promise. I would not say a word until I had a plan. October 15th, 2023 started like any other Tuesday. I woke at 5:47 a.m., no alarm needed after 33 years of teaching. I made coffee in the machine Raymond bought me for our 35th anniversary. I sat at the kitchen table, watching dawn break over my garden, and thought about how quiet my life had become. At 6:45, I heard movement upstairs. Ashley was an early riser, dedicated to her morning routine that involved 14 skincare products, a 20-minute meditation, and green juice that smelled like lawn clippings. At 7:03, she appeared in the kitchen doorway. "Constance, can we talk?" She was wearing a matching workout set that probably cost $200, hair in a perfect messy bun, face already glowing from whatever $80 serum she'd applied. She looked put together, confident, ready for a business meeting. I was in my bathrobe and slippers, no makeup, hair wrapped in a silk scarf. "Of course, dear. Coffee?" "No thanks, I don't do caffeine. It's inflammatory." She sat down across from me, hands folded like a principal about to deliver bad news. "Brandon and I have been talking about the living situation." My heart knew what was coming before my brain did. "We're so grateful for everything you've done," she continued, "letting us stay here, giving us time to save. You've been really accommodating. Accommodating in my own house. But the thing is, we're not kids anymore. We need our own space. Space to grow as a couple, to build our own life. And honestly," she paused, arranging her face into what I imagined she thought was compassion. "At your age, this house is getting to be too much for you, isn't it? The maintenance, the yard work, the stairs. It's a lot for someone in their late 60s. I'm 67, I said quietly, and I manage just fine. I know you think you do, but Brandon and I have been researching options. There are some wonderful senior living communities around here. Sunset Villa has 5-star reviews. They have activities, meal plans, people your own age. You'd have your own apartment, smaller, more manageable. No more worrying about gutters or landscaping or any of that stuff. People your own age, like 67 was ancient, like I should be grateful for bingo and early bird dinners. What about this house? I asked, my voice steady despite the earthquake in my chest. Ashley glanced away briefly, the first crack in her rehearsed speech. Well, technically it's in Brandon's name now, right? Has been since your husband passed. So, we were thinking this could be our fresh start, our forever home. I've already been in touch with an interior designer. She has some amazing ideas. Very Scandinavian modern, lots of white, clean lines. We could start renovations in December if you can be settled somewhere by then. December. 6 weeks away. 22 months they'd lived here rent-free, and they were giving me 6 weeks to disappear. I see, I said. Brandon appeared in the doorway then, like he'd been waiting for his cue. My son, my baby boy, the one I'd rocked through nightmares, driven to soccer practice, put through college. Mom, his voice was gentle, the way you'd speak to a confused elderly person. Ashley's right. This is for the best. For everyone. For everyone, I repeated. Yeah, you'd love Sunset Villa. We've scheduled a tour for next week. They have these cute little apartments, all on one floor, no stairs. They do game nights, movie screenings. There's even a book club. A book club. Like that made up for losing my home. And honestly, Mom, maintenance on this place is getting out of control. The roof needs work. The gutters are sagging. The deck needs restaining. That's not stuff you should be dealing with at your age. At my age. I'd heard that phrase twice in 5 minutes. I had the gutters cleaned last month, I said. By the same company I've used for 8 years. The roof was inspected in May. It's good for another 7 years. I restained the deck myself in August. Brandon looked uncomfortable. Okay, but how much are you paying me in rent? I interrupted. For these 22 months you've been here? Silence. $400 a month for groceries, I continued, which is $8,800 total over 22 months. The mortgage is $2,800 monthly. Utilities are $450. Taxes are $625. Insurance is $180. That's $4,055 per month. Times 22 months is $89,210. You've contributed $8,800 toward $89,210 in expenses. Ashley's eyes went hard. We offered to help. You lived here for free while saving for your forever home in my house. The house I paid for with Raymond, the house where I raised Brandon, the house I've maintained for 35 years. The house that's legally mine, Brandon said, his jaw tight. There it was, the truth underneath all the gentle words about what was best for everyone. Legally yours, I echoed. Interesting choice of words. Mom, you signed the transfer papers, you remember? After Dad died. To avoid estate taxes. I remember you saying I could stay here as long as I wanted. And you can. Just, look, we're adults now. We can't live with my mother forever. This isn't personal. Not personal, I said slowly. My son is evicting me from my home so his wife can have a Scandinavian aesthetic. But it's not personal. Ashley stood up. I can see you're upset. Maybe we should give you some time to process this. How much time? You gave me 6 weeks to find a senior living facility and pack up 35 years of my life. That's plenty of time, Ashley said coolly. Sunset Villa has immediate availability. I looked at my son. Really looked at him. Searching for the boy who used to tell me I was his hero. The teenager who'd cried in my arms after his first heartbreak. The man who'd promised at his father's funeral that he'd always take care of me. That boy was gone. In his place was a 37-year-old stranger who wanted his inheritance while I was still alive to see it taken. Okay, I said. They both looked relieved. Okay, Brandon repeated. Okay, I'll find my own place. I'll be out by the end of November. Ashley actually smiled. Oh, Constance, thank you for being so reasonable about this. I know change is hard, especially at your age, but this is really for the best. You'll see. I stood up, tightened my bathrobe, picked up my coffee cup. Will you excuse me? I have some phone calls to make. I walked upstairs, closed my bedroom door, and sat on the bed Raymond and I had shared for 33 years. The bed where Brandon was conceived. The bed where I'd held Raymond as he died, his last words a promise that I'd never struggle again. My hands weren't shaking. My heart wasn't racing. I felt something I hadn't felt in 4 years. Clarity. I walked to the closet, reached up to the top shelf, and pulled down a metal lockbox I hadn't opened since Raymond's funeral. The combination was our wedding date, October 3rd, 1982. Inside was an envelope with my name on it in Raymond's handwriting. I opened it. What I found would change everything. Raymond's letter was written on lined paper, the kind he used for work estimates. His handwriting, shaky from the medication but unmistakably his, covered 3 pages. My dearest Connie, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and I hope to God you waited long enough before opening this box. I told you the combination was our wedding date because I knew you'd remember. October 3rd, 1982. The day I became the luckiest man alive, even if it took me 23 years of being a drunk fool to realize it. I need you to know something. All those years I spent at Murphy's bar, drinking away our paychecks, you never left. You stayed. You kept our home together. You raised Brandon when I couldn't be trusted to remember his birthday. You deserved better than me. But in year 24, when I finally got sober, I made myself a promise. I was going to make sure you'd never struggle. Not ever. So while you thought we were broke, while you clipped coupons and bought store-brand coffee, I was building something for you. The life insurance policy, $850,000. MetLife policy number ML4782993. Papers are in the safe. The investment accounts, $680,000 across 3 accounts at Merrill Lynch. Account numbers on the attached sheet. I started with $10,000 in 1997 and added every spare dollar I had. The market was good to us. My pension from the union, $45,000 per year for your lifetime. Contact Jim Burkowski at Local 49. He knows about this. The rental properties. 2 buildings I bought through Miller Holdings, LLC. 1 duplex at 4521 SE Division Street. 1 fourplex at 847 NE 82nd Avenue. Combined value approximately $400,000. Property manager is Susan Chen. She's been sending checks to a separate account. Account details attached. Total, $1,930,000, plus whatever the house is worth. Connie, you were married to a drunk for 23 years and a dying man for 4 months. In between, you got 14 years of the husband you deserved. That's not enough. It's not nearly enough. This money is yours. Not Brandon's. Not anyone else's. Yours. I set it up this way because I didn't trust myself when I was drinking. I kept it separate so I couldn't touch it, couldn't drink it away, couldn't destroy what I was trying to build for you. And I didn't tell you because I wanted you to find it after I was gone, when you needed it most. There's a codicil to my will in here too. Read it carefully. The house transfer to Brandon. I agreed to that for tax purposes only, but there are conditions. Conditions he needs to honor. My last wish? Take this money and live, Connie. Really live. Travel. Do something crazy. Don't spend another day of your life taking care of people who should be taking care of you. I wasted 23 years. Don't waste another minute. All my love, even when I didn't show it. Raymond. My hands trembled as I read the letter 3 times. Then I pulled out the documents. Life insurance policy declaration. $850,000 death benefit. Date of death, March 3rd, 2020. Beneficiary, Constance Elizabeth Miller. I'd thought Raymond's funeral costs had wiped us out. I'd thought there was nothing left but this house and Social Security. I'd been wrong about everything. There were 3 investment account statements from Merrill Lynch. The most recent was dated February 2020, 1 month before Raymond died. Account number ML9847-2234, $287,440. Account number ML9847-2235, $225,180. Account number ML9847-2236, $167,820. Total $680,440. Attached was a sticky note. Connie, Jim Burkowski has the pension paperwork. $45,000 annually. It's yours for life. R. At the bottom of the box was a manila folder labeled Miller Holdings, LLC. Inside were property deeds for 2 buildings I'd never heard of, both registered to a limited liability company with Raymond listed as sole owner and me as beneficiary upon death. Property tax statements showed 4,521 SE Division Street, duplex. Assessed value, $185,000, 847 NE 82nd Avenue, fourplex. Assessed value, $215,000. Total property value, $400,000. Monthly statements from a property manager named Susan Chen showed rental income deposited into a business account I didn't know existed. Division Street duplex, $2,400 per month, 82nd Avenue, fourplex, $4,800 per month. Total monthly income, $7,200. For 3 years and 7 months since Raymond's death, I'd been receiving $7,200 monthly in rental income that had been automatically depositing into an account I'd never accessed. $7,200 times 43 months equals $309,600, sitting in that account, untouched. I did the math on a piece of paper, my teaching neat handwriting making columns. Life insurance, claimed, $850,000. Investment accounts, $680,440. Rental properties, value, $400,000. Rental income, accumulated, $309,600. Annual pension, $45,000 per year. House value, estimated, $550,000. Total liquid assets, $2,240,040. Total net worth, $2,790,040. Nearly $3 million. I was sitting in my bathrobe, crying into my hands, while my son and his wife planned to ship me off to Sunset Villa and redecorate my house in Scandinavian white. They thought I was broke, helpless, dependent. They had no idea. I waited until Brandon and Ashley left for the gym at 8:30 a.m. Then I called a number from Raymond's documents. Burkowski and Associates. This is Constance Miller. I'm looking for Jim Burkowski. My husband was Raymond Miller, Local 49. Oh, Mrs. Miller, Jim's been wondering when you'd call. Hold, please. A man's voice came on, warm and professional. Mrs. Miller, I'm so glad to hear from you. Ray was a good man. I'm sorry for your loss. I know it's been a few years now. Thank you. I just found some documents about a pension? Yes. Ray set that up in 2015. $45,000 annually, guaranteed for your lifetime, with a 3% annual increase. You should have been receiving payments since his death. Have you not been getting them? My stomach dropped. No, I haven't received anything. Papers rustled. That's strange. The checks have been deposited. Let me pull up the account. Can you verify the last 4 digits of your Social Security number? I did. More rustling, then silence. Mrs. Miller, the pension payments have been going to an account ending in 7734. Is that your account? I don't know. Can you tell me whose name is on it? It says, oh, it's a joint account. Constance Miller and Brandon Miller. The room tilted. How much has been deposited? I asked quietly. Let's see. Payments started April 2020. That's 42 months at $45,000 annually, with the 3% annual increases. Total deposited is approximately $166,250. $166,000. In an account with my son's name on it. That I'd never seen. Mrs. Miller, are you still there? Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Jim. Can I come see you? Today? Absolutely. I'm here until 5. I didn't confront Brandon. Not yet. Instead, I got dressed, a navy pantsuit I'd worn to parent-teacher conferences for years, and drove to my bank, Cascade Credit Union on Sandy Boulevard. I need to see someone about my accounts, I told the receptionist. 20 minutes later, I sat across from Janet Morrison, a banker I'd known for 15 years. Mrs. Miller, what can I help you with? I need to see all accounts with my name on them. She typed on her computer. Okay, you have your primary checking account ending in 4422, your savings account ending in 8811, and a joint account with Brandon Miller ending in 7734. The joint account. When was it opened? More typing. April 7th, 2020. 5 weeks after Raymond died. while I was still crying myself to sleep every night. Can you show me the transaction history? Janet turned her screen. Deposits from local 49 pension fund. $3,750 monthly, every month since April 2020. 42 deposits totaling $161,250. Withdrawals? None. The money just sat there, accumulating. Mrs. Miller, is something wrong? I didn't open this account. I didn't authorize these deposits. I didn't know it existed. Janet's face changed. I see. Let me check the signature card. She pulled up another screen. The account was opened with 2 signatures, yours and Brandon's, but, she squinted. Mrs. Miller, is this your signature? She showed me a scan of a signature card. My name was there, but the handwriting was wrong. Too neat, too consistent. Not the signature I'd used for 67 years. No, I said, that's not my signature. I'm going to need you to fill out a fraud report. Not yet, I said. But I need 2 things. First, remove Brandon's access to this account. Today. Second, I need you to recommend a lawyer who handles estate and elder financial abuse cases. Janet wrote down a name, Robert Thompson, Thompson & Associates. Robert Thompson's office was in the Pearl District, all glass and modern furniture. He was a black man in his 50s, with kind eyes and a firm handshake. Mrs. Miller, Janet Morrison called ahead. She's concerned about your situation. I told him everything. The house transfer, Ashley's ultimatum, the pension account, Raymond's letter, the hidden assets. Robert listened, taking notes, his expression growing darker. Mrs. Miller, let me be direct. What your son did with that pension account, forging your signature to open a joint account and diverting your funds, that's financial elder abuse. It's a felony in Oregon. I don't want to send my son to jail. I understand, but you need to understand your position. First, the house transfer. You said you signed papers after your husband died? Yes. Brandon said it was for estate tax purposes. Did you read them? No, I admitted. I was grieving. Robert pulled out a legal pad. We need to get copies of those papers, because if the transfer was made under duress or false pretenses, it may be voidable. Also, based on what you told me about your husband's letter, there was a codicil to his will? I pulled it from my purse. Robert read it, and a slow smile spread across his face. Mrs. Miller, this is a conditional transfer. The house goes to Brandon upon your death, or if you voluntarily choose to relocate and sign off on the transfer. But, and this is important, the condition states Brandon must provide you with suitable housing until such time. The house is still yours to live in as long as you want. He can't evict you. But he said it's legally his. He lied, or he doesn't understand what he signed. Either way, you have rights, strong rights. Relief and anger warred in my chest. What can I do? Several options. 1, you assert your right to stay. 2, you negotiate a buyout. He pays you fair market value for your interest. 3, Robert leaned forward. You sell the house yourself. The conditional transfer gives you that right with his consent, and consent can be implied by his attempt to evict you. Can I really do that? Mrs. Miller, you're the victim of financial abuse and attempted housing fraud. Any judge would side with you. The question is, what do you want? What did I want? I thought about Ashley measuring my living room for Scandinavian minimalism, Brandon eating vegan cupcakes instead of my sweet potato pie, 22 months of being erased in my own home. I want to sell it, I said, and I want to disappear. Robert grinned. Then let's make you disappear. That afternoon, I met with Patricia Nguyen, the financial advisor Robert recommended. Patricia's office was warm, filled with family photos. She was Vietnamese American, mid-40s, and had the efficiency of someone who didn't waste time. Mrs. Miller, Robert sent me your asset list. This is substantial. I didn't know I had it until this morning. Okay, let's talk strategy. You have $850,000 in life insurance that needs to be claimed. That's straightforward. You have $680,000 in investment accounts that are already yours. You have $309,600 in accumulated rental income. You have an annual pension of $45,000. And you have 2 rental properties worth about $400,000. She pulled up a calculator. If we liquidate the rental properties, which in this market would be easy, and add everything together, you're looking at approximately $2.24 million in liquid assets, plus annual pension income. At a conservative 4% withdrawal rate, that's about $90,000 per year without touching your principal. With the pension, you're at $135,000 annually. $135,000 a year. I'd been living on $32,000 annually in Social Security and pension, stretching every dollar, while my son diverted funds and my daughter-in-law called me a burden. What would you recommend? I asked. That depends. What do you want to do with your life? For the first time in 4 years, I smiled. I want to move to Monaco. Patricia didn't even blink. Okay, Monaco is expensive but manageable with your assets. Cost of living for a comfortable lifestyle is about $80,000 to $100,000 annually. You could rent initially, buy property later. Let me make some calls. Over the next 3 days, while Brandon and Ashley went about their lives, oblivious, Day 1. Filed paperwork to claim Raymond's life insurance, $850,000. Met with Susan Chen, the property manager, and listed both rental properties for sale. Asterisk, changed passwords on all my accounts. Asterisk, opened new accounts at a different bank without Brandon's name. Day 2. Asterisk, contacted an international relocation specialist. Asterisk video called with Simone Baptiste, a Black American woman living in Monaco who ran an expat support group. Virtual tour of an apartment. 3-bedroom, Avenue des Papillons. Sea view, €8,500 per month, $9,000. Offered 6-month lease paid up front. Accepted day 3. Met with Jennifer Park, top real estate agent in Portland. Listed my house as pocket listing, off-market, for $580,000. Target, cash buyers only. First showing scheduled for October 23rd. Jennifer looked around my home and smiled. Mrs. Miller, this house is a gem. We'll have offers within a week. How quickly could we close? With a cash buyer? 30 to 45 days. Perfect. On October 19th at breakfast, I said casually, I scheduled a tour of Sunset Villa for next Wednesday. Ashley looked up from her green juice. Oh, Constance, that's wonderful. You're going to love it. Brandon nodded. Want me to come with you? No, sweetheart. I can handle it. I didn't go to Sunset Villa on Wednesday. I went to a storage facility and rented a 10 by 20 unit under my name only, but I brought home a brochure. That evening, I left it on the kitchen table. Ashley picked it up. This looks really nice. See, Constance? Independent living, not a nursing home. You'll have so much freedom. Freedom. In a 600-square-foot apartment with organized activities and communal dining. Yes, dear. It's very nice. While Brandon and Ashley were at work, I started packing. Not everything, just the things that mattered. My grandmother's china, photo albums, my mother's jewelry, Raymond's tools, Brandon's baby clothes. I moved boxes to the storage unit, 3 or 4 a day, small enough not to be noticed. Ashley came home one evening and said, Did you donate some stuff? The house feels lighter. Just decluttering, I said. Sunset Villa has size restrictions. Smart thinking. On October 23rd, while Brandon and Ashley were at brunch, Jennifer brought the first potential buyers. They were a young black couple, maybe 35, the woman visibly pregnant. Dr. Marcus Johnson was a surgeon at OHSU. His wife, Keisha, was a middle school teacher. This house, Keisha said, hand on her belly. It feels like home. How many children? I asked. Twins, due in January. Boys. I thought about Brandon playing in this backyard, climbing the oak tree Raymond had helped him build a treehouse in. This house needs children, I said. They offered $595,000 cash, close by December 15th. Sold, I said. Jennifer looked shocked. Mrs. Miller, don't you want to? It's sold. Draw up the papers. Every evening, Brandon asked about my housing search. How was Sunset Villa? Nice. They have a book club. Did you put down a deposit? Not yet. I'm exploring all my options. I was exploring all my options, just not the ones they expected. Meanwhile, Patricia was liquidating my rental properties, both sold by November 1st for a combined $425,000, transferring investment accounts to International Access, setting up wire transfers to Monaco, filing my life insurance claim, check received November 8th, $850,000. By November 10th, I had $850,000 from life insurance, $425,000 from property sales, $680,440 from investment accounts, $309,600 from accumulated rental income. Total liquid assets, $2,265,040. Robert Thompson confirmed. I had legal right to sell the house. Papers were drawn up. The Johnsons were ready. All that remained was to set the date. November 23rd, 2023. Thanksgiving. I cooked for 3 days. Turkey with Raymond's herb butter recipe. Dressing made from my grandmother's cornbread. Mac and cheese with 4 cheeses. Collard greens with ham hocks. Candied yams. Green bean casserole. Sweet potato pie. Dorothy from next door came. My friend Latoya from church. My former teaching colleague, Margaret. Brandon and Ashley arrived at 2 p.m. Ashley wore a cream-colored dress that probably cost $400. She took photos of every dish for Instagram. "Constance, this looks amazing," she said, phone camera clicking. We sat down to eat. I said grace, something about gratitude and family and being thankful for the people who show you who they really are. Brandon ate 3 plates. "Mom, this is incredible. I'm going to miss your cooking." I set down my fork. "What will you miss?" "What?" "You said you'll miss my cooking. What else will you miss?" Brandon looked uncomfortable. "I mean everything. This house. You. But it's time, right? Time for everyone to have their own space." "Their own space?" I repeated. Ashley jumped in. "Brandon and I were talking. Once you're settled at Sunset Villa, we should do Sunday dinners. Keep the tradition going." "Sunday dinners at Sunset Villa. Or we could cook," Ashley said brightly. "I've been learning some plant-based recipes that are really—" "When's your move-in date?" I interrupted. "For the house? Probably mid-December. The interior designer can start right after New Year's. I'm thinking we gut the kitchen first. Very California modern. All white subway tile, maybe brass fixtures. You're gutting my kitchen." "Well, it needs updating. The cabinets are so dated and—" "My grandmother's cabinets. That Raymond refinished by hand." Silence around the table. Dorothy cleared her throat. "Constance, this pie is spectacular." "Thank you, Dorothy. It's my great-grandmother's recipe. 4 generations. Ashley, would you like the recipe?" Ashley smiled. "Oh, that's sweet, but I don't really bake. Empty calories, you know." 4 generations of Black women's love and labor. Empty calories. I stood up. "I have an announcement." Everyone looked at me. "I've made my decision about housing. I wanted you all to hear it together." Brandon sat up straighter. "Did you put a deposit down at Sunset Villa?" "No," I said. "I found somewhere else. Somewhere perfect." "Oh?" Ashley's eyes lit up. "Is it another senior community? There's one in Lake Oswego that's supposed to be really nice." "Monaco," I said. Silence. "Monaco?" Brandon repeated. "Monaco, France. I leave December 28th. I've rented an apartment overlooking the Mediterranean Sea. 3 bedrooms, terrace, sea view. It's beautiful." Ashley laughed. "Constance, that's not realistic. Monaco is one of the most expensive places in the world. You can't afford—" "I can afford it quite comfortably, actually." Brandon was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. "Mom, what are you talking about?" "Your father left me better off than any of us realized, including you. Dad was broke when he died. The medical bills—" "Your father," I said clearly, "left me $850,000 in life insurance, $680,000 in investment accounts, $400,000 in rental properties, and a pension of $45,000 per year. He'd been planning it for 24 years. You could hear a pin drop. "That's—" Brandon did the math in his head. "That's over $2 million. $2.265 million to be exact, plus my annual pension, plus the proceeds from this house, which I'm selling." Ashley's face went white. "You're selling this house?" "I am. It closes December 15th. The new owners, Dr. and Mrs. Johnson, take possession January 1st. "You can't sell this house." Ashley was on her feet. "It's in Brandon's name." "Actually," I said calmly, "I can. Robert Thompson, my attorney, explained the conditional transfer quite clearly. I have every right." Brandon hadn't moved. "Mom, You're serious. Completely serious. You told me to find my own place. I did. Monaco. I hope you enjoy your Scandinavian aesthetic, but you'll need to find somewhere else to create it. You have 14 days before the new owners move in. Where are we supposed to go? Ashley's voice was shrill. Find your own place. I picked up my purse. Dorothy, Latoya, Margaret, thank you for coming. Brandon, Ashley, the leftovers are in the fridge. I'm going to spend the evening at Dorothy's. I walked out of my dining room, out my front door, and didn't look back. Behind me, I heard Ashley. This can't be happening. This can't be happening. And Brandon quietly, I think it just did. I wore my navy suit again. The Johnsons wore Sunday best. Dr. Johnson in a gray suit, Keisha in a navy dress stretched over her 8-month belly. We met at the title company, signed papers, exchanged pleasantries. The check was handed over, $595,000. After Jennifer's commission, $565,000 clear. Mrs. Miller, Dr. Johnson said, shaking my hand. Thank you for choosing us. We promise to love this house the way it deserves. I know you will, I said. And I meant it. Keisha hugged me carefully. We're going to name them Raymond and Constance, after the strong people who built this home. I cried then, not sad tears, grateful ones. I walked out of that office with a cashier's check for $565,000, bringing my total liquid assets to $2,830,040. At 67 years old, I was a multimillionaire about to start over in Monaco, and my son had no idea. December 28th, the taxi arrived at 4:47 a.m. I'd been awake since 3, sitting in my empty bedroom. My furniture already shipped to storage in Nice, my suitcases by the door. Brandon and Ashley had moved out on December 16th. I'd come home from the closing to find a note on the kitchen counter. Mom, we found an apartment in Beaverton. We need some time. Be no goodbye, no apology, just an address I didn't ask for. Dorothy stood on her porch as I loaded my luggage. She was in her bathrobe, tears on her cheeks. You call me the minute you land, she said, hugging me tight. And you send pictures of that view. Every morning, I promised. Constance Miller, you're the bravest woman I know. I'm the most tired woman you know. I'm just finally choosing rest. The drive to PDX was quiet. The driver, a Somali man named Ahmed, made small talk about the weather. I watched Portland slip past in the darkness, the city where I'd lived for 42 years, taught second grade, buried my husband, raised my son. I felt nothing but relief. At the airport, I checked in for my flight, Portland to New York JFK, then JFK to Nice. Total travel time, 17 hours. The ticket was business class, Patricia had insisted. Mrs. Miller, you're 67 and flying internationally. Treat yourself. The seat reclined fully flat. The flight attendant offered champagne before takeoff. Celebrating something special? She asked. My whole life, I said, and meant it. December 29th. I landed in Nice at 11:32 a.m. local time. The Mediterranean sun hit me like a warm embrace after Portland's gray winter. Simone Baptiste was waiting at arrivals, holding a sign that said, Welcome home, Constance, with a red heart. She was 55, with locks past her shoulders, wearing a linen dress and the biggest smile I'd ever seen. We'd only video chatted 3 times, but she hugged me like family. Girl, you actually did it. You actually left. I actually did it. How you feeling? Terrified, exhilarated, free. That's the feeling of choosing yourself. Get used to it. The drive from Nice to Monaco took 40 minutes along the coastal road. Every turn revealed a new postcard. Azure water, white yachts, hillside villages that looked painted by God's own hand. This is real? I kept asking. This is your life now, Simone kept answering. My apartment at Avenue des Papillons was on the 4th floor of a Belle Époque building with cream-colored walls and wrought iron balconies. The landlord, an elderly French couple, met us at the door. Madame Miller, bienvenue. Madame Dubois kissed both my cheeks. Your home is ready. Home. The word felt strange and perfect. Inside, herringbone floors, tall windows, furniture in creams and soft blues. But it was the terrace that made me cry. Wraparound, overlooking the harbor and the Mediterranean, stretching to infinity. boats dotting the water like white birds, the principality climbing the hillside in tiers of elegant buildings. "Oh my God," I whispered. "Yeah," Simone said, grinning. "That's the Monaco effect. You're home, Constance." That first night I sat on my terrace wrapped in a blanket, watching the harbor lights reflect on the water. My phone buzzed. "Dorothy, did you make it?" Me. "I made it." Dot, "It's beautiful. I can't believe this is real." Dorothy. "Believe it, Queen. You earned every bit of this." Me. "Thank you for being my friend through everything." Dorothy. "Thank you for showing me it's never too late to choose yourself. Now go live." I set down my phone and opened a bottle of champagne the landlords had left. Poured a glass, raised it to the Mediterranean. "Raymond," I said aloud, "thank you for seeing what I couldn't. Thank you for making sure I'd be okay. I'm okay. I'm more than okay." A yacht horn sounded in the harbor, and I chose to believe it was him, answering. The first month was harder than I expected. Language was the biggest barrier. My high school French consisted of bonjour and merci. Ordering coffee became an anxiety-inducing ordeal. "Un café, s'il vous plaît," I'd say at the bakery. "Crème? Sucre?" the woman would respond in rapid French. "Aïe oui?" She'd sigh, hand me something that may or may not have been what I wanted. After the third confused transaction, I downloaded Duolingo and started studying 1 hour every morning. "Je suis Constance. J'ai 67 ans. Je suis américaine." The loneliness hit at strange times. Not when I was exploring or unpacking, but in quiet moments. Making dinner for one. Waking up with no one to say good morning to. Realizing I couldn't call Dorothy at midnight, 9 a.m. her time, just because. I missed teaching. Missed the routine of September through June, the rhythm of lesson plans and recess duty and parent conferences. I'd been Miss Miller for 33 years. Now I was just Constance, and I had to figure out who that was. But there were small victories. Week 3, I successfully ordered un croissant aux amandes without pointing or hand gestures. The baker smiled. "Très bien, madame." Week 5, my upstairs neighbor Henri Dubois, Madame Dubois's brother, 75 widower, knocked on my door. "Madame Miller, we play pétanque Saturday afternoon. You come?" I had no idea what pétanque was, but I said yes. It was bocce ball, basically. Played in a dusty court near the port with a group of retirees who took it deadly seriously. Henri taught me to throw. I was terrible. Everyone laughed, including me. "You come back next week," Henri said. "We make you champion." I went back every Saturday. Week 7, Simone introduced me to the Diaspora Divas, her group of black women expats who met monthly for dinner. There were 5 of them. Simone Baptiste, 55 from Atlanta, former HR executive, moved 8 years ago. Claudette Jean-Baptiste, 62 from Haiti via Brooklyn, retired nurse. Aisha Okonkwo, 58, Nigerian-American abstract artist. Joyce Williams, 65, from Kingston, Jamaica, former investment banker. And now me. We met at Aisha's apartment, stunning, with artwork covering every wall. Each woman brought food from her culture. Simone made peach cobbler. Claudette brought griot and pickles. Joyce made jerk chicken. Aisha prepared jollof rice. "Constance, what did you bring?" Simone asked. I'd spent 6 hours that morning making macaroni and cheese, my grandmother's recipe with 4 cheeses, evaporated milk, and a buttercracker crust, and collard greens with ham hocks. I set down my dishes, suddenly nervous. Soul food. It's what I know. The room went quiet as they tasted. Then Joyce said, "Lord have mercy, this mac and cheese is criminal. Constance, what you doing living here? You need to open a restaurant." "I'm serious," Aisha added. "This is better than my mama's, and I'd get disowned for saying that." Claudette raised her wine glass. "To Constance, who left America, came to Monaco, and brought the ancestors cooking with her." We clinked glasses, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Belonging. These women didn't know me as Brandon's mother, or Raymond's widow, or Ms. Miller from room 204. They knew me as Constance, the woman brave enough to start over at 67. "Tell us your story," Joyce said. "How'd you end up here?" So I told them, all of it. Ashley's ultimatum, the hidden money, the sale, the departure. When I finished, Simone was grinning. Claudette was nodding. Aisha was taking notes. "This is a novel, I swear." Joyce was laughing so hard she cried. "Girl," Joyce said, "you gave them nothing and took everything. That's biblical. That's Plagues of Egypt level revenge. It wasn't revenge, I said. It was survival. It was both, Simone said, and it was perfect. I started teaching piano again. A flyer in the building lobby. Piano teacher available for children and adults. Beginner to intermediate. Reasonable rates. 3 families responded. 6 students total, aged 7 to 14. 2 French, 1 British, 1 American, 2 Italian. Every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, my apartment filled with the sound of scales and furellis and giggling when someone hit the wrong key. Madame Constance, said my student Luca, Italian age 9, you are a very patient teacher. Thank you, Luca. My last teacher got angry when I made mistakes. Mistakes are how we learn, I said. Making mistakes means you're trying. After he left, I sat at the piano and cried. I hadn't realized how much I'd missed teaching until I was doing it again. 3 months later, I woke to the sound of seagulls and the smell of espresso from the cafe below. My morning routine had become sacred. Coffee on the terrace, French lesson, walk along the coastal path from Monaco to Cap d'Ail and back, 45 minutes, shower, piano practice, lunch. My phone rang at 10:47 a.m. Unknown number, but with a Portland area code. I almost didn't answer, but something made me press accept. Hello? Mom, Brandon's voice, thin, worn, older than 3 months should have made it. Please don't hang up. I walked to the terrace, phone pressed to my ear. I'm listening. God, I don't even know where to start. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Ashley left me. I sat down. When? 6 weeks ago, February 3rd. She packed her stuff while I was at work and went back to her parents in California. I'm sorry. Are you? His voice cracked. Because I wouldn't blame you if you weren't. I wouldn't blame you if you never spoke to me again. The Mediterranean stretched before me, endless and blue. A yacht was entering the harbor, life continuing, beautiful and indifferent. What happened? I asked. We couldn't afford anything. The words tumbled out. The apartment in Beaverton is a 1-bedroom, $1,850 a month. We both got studio apartments. Mine's $1,200. I'm working 60 hours a week between my regular job and bartending on weekends just to cover it. Ashley lasted 3 weeks before she left. She left because of money? She left because I wasn't the lifestyle she wanted anymore. No house, no designer furniture, no Instagram perfect life. She told me I was not meeting her needs as a provider. He laughed bitterly. Turns out she never loved me. She loved what she thought I could give her. I'm sorry, I said again, and meant it. Not sorry she was gone. Sorry that my son was learning this lesson so painfully. Mom, I'm in therapy. That surprised me. You are? Twice a week. I needed to understand how I became someone who could treat you the way I did. How I could stand there and tell my own mother to go live in a senior facility so my wife could have her minimalist aesthetic. And what have you learned? Silence. Then, that I inherited Dad's entitlement without his work ethic. That I confused loving you with owning you. That I never thought of you as a person with your own life, your own dreams, your own needs. You were just Mom, always there, always supportive, always sacrificing. And I took that for granted until you weren't there anymore. My throat tightened. I also learned, he continued, that you're the bravest person I know. You sold everything and moved to Monaco, at 67. Most people our parents' age are worried about their medication schedules, and you're living in the most expensive place in Europe like some kind of international woman of mystery. I laughed, despite myself. Is that how you see me? I see you as someone I clearly never understood. Someone who was stronger and braver than I ever gave you credit for. Someone who deserved a better son than me. Brandon, no, let me finish. I don't want money, Mom. I'm not calling to ask you to come back or bail me out or fix this. I'm calling because I miss you. Because I've spent 3 months realizing how much of my life was built on the assumption that you'd always be there to catch me when I fell. And because I want to know if there's any chance you could forgive me. Someday. Not now. But someday. I looked out at the Mediterranean, at the life I'd built from the ashes of betrayal. 3 months ago, I'd been furious, hurt, determined to prove I was more than convenient. Now, sitting in the sun with the sea breeze in my face, the anger felt like something from a previous life. Brandon, I need you to understand something. I'm not coming back to save you. I'm not your safety net anymore. I know, I wouldn't ask that. But, I paused. Would you like to visit? In May? See what I've built here? Silence. Then, you'd let me visit? On one condition. You come alone. You come ready to see me. Constance. Not just Mom. Not the person you expect me to be. Me. I promise. His voice broke. Thank you. Thank you for giving me a chance I don't deserve. After we hung up, I sat on the terrace for a long time. Henri appeared on his balcony above, watering his plants. Ça va, Constance? He called down. Ça va bien, Henri, I called back. Ça va très bien. And it was true. I picked Brandon up at Nice Airport on a Friday afternoon. He came through arrivals looking smaller somehow. Thinner. Wearing jeans and a basic t-shirt instead of his usual designer athleisure. We hugged awkwardly. Hi, Mom. Hi, baby. The drive to Monaco, he stared out the window like a child seeing the ocean for the first time. This is where you live? This is where I live. When we reached my apartment, he stood on the terrace without speaking for a full minute. Mom, he finally said, I don't even have words. Beautiful works. You did this. You made this happen for yourself. I did. That evening I took him to dinner with the diaspora divas at Claudette's apartment. I'd warned him they might be protective. I hadn't warned him how protective. Simone answered the door and looked Brandon up and down. So you're the son? Yes, ma'am. The one who tried to warehouse his mama so his Instagram wife could have white countertops? Brandon swallowed. Yes, ma'am. Come in, we're not going to bite you. Much. The interrogation lasted through appetizers. Joyce. What are you doing to make it right? Brandon. Therapy. Learning to be better. That's all I can do. Aisha. You understand what you put her through? Brandon. I'm starting to. I don't think I'll ever fully understand, but I'm trying. Claudette. Why should we believe you've changed? Brandon looked at me. Because I'm here. Because she gave me a chance I don't deserve, and I'm not going to waste it. Simone leaned back. Okay, you can stay. After dinner, Brandon and Simone were doing dishes, Simone insisted, and I heard her say quietly, Your mama is a queen. She rebuilt her whole life at 67 in a foreign country. You know how much strength that takes? I'm starting to understand. Good, because if you hurt her again, we know people. Monaco is small. Brandon laughed nervously. Are you threatening me? I'm educating you. Saturday morning, we walked the coastal path to Cap d'Aille. The Mediterranean sparkled under spring sun. Families picnicked on the rocks. Couples held hands. Mom, can I ask you something? Of course. When did you realize? About the money, about Dad's planning? October 15th, the morning Ashley told me to find my own place. You knew for 2.5 months and didn't tell me? I was building my escape plan. He laughed. Like a spy movie. Like survival. We walked in silence for a while. Then Brandon said, Tell me about Dad. The real story. I remember him drunk when I was little, then sober, then sick. But I never understood the whole story. So I told him. About Raymond's demons, his 23 years of drinking, his 14 years of redemption. About how he'd built a safety net without telling me because he didn't trust himself not to destroy it. About his final gift, making sure I'd never struggle. He knew, I said. Somehow, even though he was dying, he knew I'd need a way out someday. And he gave it to me. Brandon stopped walking, turned to face the sea. His shoulders shook. I'm crying again, he said. I've cried more in the last 5 months than in my entire life. Crying means you're feeling. Feeling means you're healing. Did I destroy us? You and me? I thought about it. Really thought about it. No, I said. You damaged us. But damage can be repaired if both people want to repair it. I want to. He turned to me, tears on his face. I want my mom back. Not the woman who sacrificed everything for me. The woman standing here who chose herself. I want to know her. We hugged then, really hugged, for the first time in years. I'm proud of you, he whispered. I'm so proud of you. Brandon's last evening in Monaco. We sat on my terrace watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and gold. "I have something for you," he said, pulling an envelope from his jacket. "From the Johnsons. They asked me to give it to you." Inside was a letter and photos. The photos showed 2 newborn babies, identical, swaddled in blue blankets. The letter read, "Dear Mrs. Miller, our sons were born January 15th, 2024, at 3:47 a.m. and 3:51 a.m. We named them Raymond Marcus Johnson and Constance Marcus Johnson. We wanted you to know that every night when we put our boys to bed in the nursery, your old bedroom, we tell them about the strong black woman who built this home with love. We tell them about her husband Raymond, who overcame his demons to provide for her. We tell them about courage and second chances and choosing yourself. Your house is raising another generation, and that generation will know your name. With gratitude and respect, Dr. Marcus, Keisha, Raymond, and Constance Johnson." I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Just held the photos of 2 babies named after me and the man who'd saved me. "They named their sons after you and Dad," Brandon said quietly. "They did. That's your legacy, Mom. Not the house, not the money. Them, those babies, this life you've built. Me, trying to be better. That's what you leave behind." We sat in silence as stars appeared over Monaco. "I love you, Mom," Brandon said. "I know I did a terrible job of showing it, but I do. I always have. I love you too, baby. I always will. Will you come back, ever?" "I don't know. This feels like home now." "Then I'll visit. Quarterly, if that's okay." "That's more than okay." 1 year later, I woke to my alarm, a rare occurrence. Today was special. 1 year since the Johnsons twins were born. 1 year since my new life truly began. I made coffee and carried it to the terrace. The Mediterranean was calm, reflecting the pink dawn sky. A cruise ship was entering the harbor, elegant and slow. My phone buzzed with messages. "Dorothy, happy 1-year anniversary of your Monaco life. Proud of you every single day." "Simone, Diaspora Divas brunch at 11. Don't be late. We're celebrating you." "Brandon, 1 year, Mom. You did it. Love you." And a video message from Keisha Johnson. 2 toddlers smashing cake, their faces covered in frosting. "Happy birthday, Raymond and Constance. Say hi to Grandma Constance." The babies waved sticky hands at the camera. Grandma Constance. Not their grandmother by blood, but by legacy. I'd been in Monaco for 12 months and 18 days. In that time, I'd become conversational in French-taught piano to 11 students, joined a watercolor class taught by an English artist named Margaret, walked 1,247 miles along the coastal path, made 5 true friends, rebuilt my relationship with my son, started writing a memoir, tentatively titled Finding My Own Place. And most importantly, learned who Constance Miller was when she wasn't being convenient for everyone else I was dating, Henri, though we were taking it slow. Once a week, we'd have dinner at his apartment or mine. We'd talk about our late spouses, our children, our dreams. He taught me pétanque. I taught him to make cornbread. It was comfortable, easy, no pressure to be anything but ourselves. Brandon visited every 3 months, like clockwork. He'd met someone, a teacher named Rachel, who reminded him of me, his words. They were taking it slow. He was learning. Ashley had gotten engaged to a tech CEO in San Francisco. Brandon sent me the Instagram announcement with a laughing emoji. We were both free of her. My liquid assets had grown to $3.1 million through conservative investments. I lived on $85,000 annually, pension plus investment income, and still saved $50,000 a year. I'd bought my apartment in September for 1.2 million euros, $1.3 million, paid in cash. At 68 years old, I owned a 3-bedroom apartment in Monaco outright, had no debt, and woke up every morning to a view that made me grateful to be alive. But the money wasn't the victory. The victory was this. I'd spent 67 years being what everyone needed. The good wife who endured. The dedicated teacher. The sacrificing mother. The convenient woman who never complained. And then, one October morning, someone told me to find my own place. So I did. Not in a senior living facility where I'd be safely contained and easily managed. In Monaco, in my own strength, in my own power, in my own truth. I set down my phone and opened my laptop. My memoir was at 147 pages. I read the final paragraph I'd written yesterday. They told me to find my own place, thinking I'd shrink into a corner designated for women my age. Instead, I found myself on the French Riviera, living proof that it's never too late to choose your own happiness. At 67, I learned that find your own place was the best advice anyone ever gave me. I just didn't find it where they expected. My place wasn't in a retirement home. It was in Monaco, yes. But more importantly, it was in my own heart, my own power, my own truth. And to every woman who's been told she's too old, too much, too inconvenient, find your own place. It might just be paradise. I closed the laptop and stood at the terrace railing. A text from Henri. Cafe at noon? I bring croissants. Perfect, I texted back. See you then. Below, the Mediterranean sparkled in the morning sun. Boats moved across the harbor. Monaco went about its beautiful, expensive, perfect day. And Constance Miller, former elementary school teacher, widow, mother, and now international woman of mystery, raised her coffee cup to the sunrise. To finding your own place, I said aloud. Wherever that may be. The sea breeze answered, warm on my face, carrying the salt smell of freedom. I was 68 years old. I was exactly where I belonged. I was home. This story is dedicated to every woman who's been told she's past her prime, too old to start over, or should be grateful for whatever scraps of respect she receives. You are never too old to choose yourself. You are never too late to start over. You are never too much. Find your own place. It's waiting for you. If this story touched you, please share it with a woman who needs to hear it. Drop your city in the comments. Let's see how far Constance's journey travels.